Hey, Audacious Beast, welcome back to my channel. My name is ScottyAllenDay. It is unknown where the National Guard Armory started hosting concerts, boxing, wrestling, presidential speeches, in these beautiful Victorian-era style buildings with these castle-like towers and brick facades. Many still have wrought iron fences as the decor, and once inside these armory buildings, you'll see a glamorous theater. And it will remind you of the outdoor amphitheater that was used in a movie classic, The Sound of Music. This is where the Von Trapp family did the song So Long Farewell before they escaped Germany. The last big scene that they had before they escaped into the United States, or Vermont, where most of them still reside today. Believe it or not, many of these armories were constantly used for events between the 1920s to the 1990s. And I'm unsure whether they're still being used consistently today, because I have not really dug that deep into this. I do know that the armories hold private events, and the older buildings that are no longer owned by the National Guard, the buildings have been renovated and owned by private owners. The reason being is these historic venues over time fell into disrepair and were sold off at auctions. And from my research, pretty much all of these mid-sized cities, kind of like Portland, was, at the time, all had National Guard armories inside the city centers. And of course, the one that I'm talking about today is pretty much the National Guard Armory that's inside of Portland. These armories were used for theater, concerts, wrestling, boxing, dances, and between the 50s and 60s, they were a hotspot for concert events, as they were able to accommodate most of the crowds at that time. The reason being is the bands and promoters could easily book an armory as a quick tour stop at just about any time. The only downfall is that the most armories could only hold anywhere between 500 to 1,500 people. And that's because, well, it's the National Guard Armory. So you have people that are coming in for the National Guard, they go in and they have their speech, they get their assignments, and, well, they deploy from there. So, pretty much quite an interesting building and venue. Many of these armories were not staffed, so according to what I've read with different bands, and I've asked several people from different 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s bands that have booked these, and they were not staffed. So what the bands would do, or the promoters would do, is they would reach out to like the VFW, or they would reach out to like the Elks Lodge, or reach out to various different groups and say, hey, if you help us out with our event, we'll give you 10% of the door ticket price, and you could sell all your concessions and keep all the profits from that. That's pretty much how they staff these without having to, hire an entire event staff, which at that time it would work. But they also got a write-off on the building that was already inexpensive and still helped out loads and loads of different organizations. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. And so many armories were not staffed, so bands could rely on volunteer groups to sell concessions and pay a small percentage of the door price. Indoor arenas really did not catch on until about 1968, when Cream and Deep Purple played at Madison Square Garden. So that started off the arena tours. That's like your Coliseums, like Madison Square Garden, or Portland Memorial Coliseum, or the Tacoma Dome. And they didn't really play, and then, however, it wasn't until the late 1970s when arena rock became a dominant force of musical acts from that point onward. So I'm at the end of my notes here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about a lot of this right now, because, well, if if they had no place to play. And the reason that they had no place to play was a lot of these mid-sized cities, they had theater districts. And a theater district could only end up being like maybe 8 theaters. So you'd have your normal 8 theaters, and some of the times they would have your vaudeville acts. You would have your Broadway shows. You would have your concert, your orchestras, and then you would also have all the other acts that are coming through town. So a lot of times these places were booked solid, and there was no place to go. But if you went into Portland, or if you went into Seattle, or Tacoma rather, and there's 9 National Guard armories around in the entire city. And because of the fact that there were so many armories around, they could say, hey, can we book a venue? Can we book a concert? Now, these concerts would not have alcohol in it. They wouldn't have, because they would have to get an OLCC license. It was just a spur of the moment. Let's go in, let's rock the town, let's make extra money for the tour, because the tour's probably running tight, or they had a big repair that they had to make, and they needed to get an extra tour stop in so that they'd be able to pay that bill. And that's pretty much the way it was. Is, okay, we just made a big stage repair, and our stage repair bill was $4,000, and we're hitting Seattle next. We're doing our concert in Seattle, and they call up the promoter and say, hey, look, we just had a $4,000 repair bill. What do you want to do? And pretty much the promoter says, okay, we got 2 stops on your way back down to San Francisco. You're going to stop in Tacoma, and then you're going to stop in Portland. So they stop in Tacoma, do a concert. They stop in Portland, do a concert. That's an average of about 1,000 people. And let's say at that time they had 1,000 people. They sell them out, and you have the door prices at about $10 a piece. So $10, you'd be able to go into the door, and they had $1,000, and plus they got to pay out the 10%. And well, sure enough, they paid the repair bill off, and they put some money into the kitty for future repairs. Or the tour bus broke down and they needed to rent. So that's pretty much what all these armory stops were for. The armories were also used for wrestling. I went to hundreds of pre-wrestling days inside of these armories, and those were fun. So that's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my unsung hero. I'm going to start trying to find a lot more. I already have one on the books, and he's probably going to be featured on a Monday. She was a very important piece of the puzzle to arena rock, and that we're kind of leading up to. And we'll get some more people here. If you guys have a suggestion of who you want me to feature as my Monday musician, drop that in the comment section below. Let me know. If you like my video, please share it with your friends. Hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss another video. Until next time, like usual, keep on rocking.